So at this point, you'd imagine that I would put the trim and the molding back on the car, get that all situated, finish the rear window, and, you know, take some beauty shots. Car's looking great, yada, 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 awesome. Problem is that didn't happen. I needed a break from this car. I kind of just wanted to drive it for the rest of the season and enjoy it. And, well, you know how it goes. You're like, oh, I'll finish this in a week. I'll finish this last little bit here and there. And you don't. You just drive it and enjoy it. And now that winter's here, well, I'm not going to worry about the exterior so much because we have bigger things, bigger projects on the horizon. Besides, the wet sand and buff that George and I did was just quick and dirty. It was just kind of a test run and get it looking better than it did before because it was pretty bad. It has so much more potential to look really good. So your next question might be, well, what are we doing? You know, what's the plans for the winter? Now, I know I've hinted in the past that I have a Series 5 turbo parts and, you know, I want to turbo the car. I've also, you know, I don't think I said this on the channel, but I've talked to other people that I thought about doing a 6-port Renesis swap and getting like rusted out RX-8 or something and just do a full drivetrain swap, 6-speed, stock ECU, that kind of stuff. Both of those things would be a nice bump in power, which would help that car so much and would be really cool, but also keeping it rotary, which I would like to do if I can. So it's kind of financial devastation. And although I really want to do those things and I was planning on doing them for a while, I really thought about it and I kind of just need to freshen up the rest of the car, get it as a really solid setup first before I start throwing power at it. I would be rushing into things and there's a lot of other stuff on the car that needs to get tidied up first, and I'd like to because I plan to keep it for a long time. And you know, this is a real build. This isn't just a slap together, slam it out the door kind of car. I really want to keep this for a long time, so I really need to take a step back and do it right. And so what that means is I'm going to be pulling the whole car apart again. Yes, I know I just had it in a million pieces to paint it, and guess what? It's happening again. This time we're going to be pulling the entire drivetrain out. So I'm going to pull the engine and the trans out, and I'm going to drop the rear subframe. With all that out, I can do a bunch of rust repair and undercoat it. This car, it looks like a Midwestern car underneath, and if you're from here, it probably looks normal. You're like, yeah, that's an old Japanese car. If you're from anywhere else, you probably think it's totaled. But I'm going to do my best to say that it is a drift car. It's going to get battered. It doesn't matter. But I do want it to stick around for a while and not have holes in my floor. The next important thing to do is that rear subframe and all the rear suspension. I want to freshen that up. I want to get some adjustable arms under there, replace any bushings that need to be replaced, as everything under there is pretty old and crusty. It'll also allow us to pull some camber out of there and get a good rear alignment as well. And there's one other thing I'd like to do chassis-wise if time and resources permit it. And that would be, I'd like to notch the front frame rails and tub it. As of right now, my wheels hit the frame rail because of my angle kit. Now, I could solve this with a couple of things. I could get rack limiters, which would work. They would stop me from rubbing. I also could get extended lower control arms. I have Part Shop Max Knuckles, and they make a full front end kit, which would give me extended lowers and would probably solve my problem. The thing is, I don't want to do that either. I really like the front alignment, and I don't want a ton of camber on the front, especially because this is a street driven car, and I don't want all the flaws that come with that. And I just like the way the car sits now anyway. So by notching the front frame rails and tubbing the front wheel wells, I can get a lot more angle out of it, and hopefully the maximum amount of angle out of it without actually changing anything with the front suspension. So that would be pretty cool. Like I said, I'm not sure if I can get to that, trying to be realistic here, but I would really like to, especially with the engine out. It would be pretty nice. The other thing I'd like to do is, once all the rust repair and the floor pan is cleaned up, I'd like to get the rest of the interior back in together, get the door panels rewrapped and cleaned up, get speakers in it, sound system, and make some interior panels for like behind the seats and the B-pillars and stuff like that. And when all of that is said and done, we will work on prettying up the exterior and making that look really nice for the beginning of next year's drift season. So yes, I kind of apologize that this episode was a fail. If you watch the channel for even a little bit, you know that this is usually how it goes. I have plans and I lay out a nice idea for a video, and then it doesn't work because, well, that's kind of how project cars work, at least running and driving ones that you drive around. They just, yeah, and well, it's kind of my fault, but sorry guys. This isn't my job, this is my hobby, so it is what it is. With that being said, I want to say thank you. There's a lot of new subscribers around here, and there's been a lot of support for the build, and seeing it all come together with paint has excited a lot of people, and that makes me so happy. You know, it's really cool to see all that support, so thank you guys for subscribing, for supporting the channel, and for supporting the dumb things I do with my cars and my camera. If you want to see my RX-7 in a million pieces again, stay tuned for next time. You know, my audio was notoriously bad for the longest time, and I finally get a mic, and then I always have mic problems, and the mic never works, and I just sit down for 20 minutes and talk to the camera, which I already am bad at, re-record it all again, and it's just